Right. Good afternoon. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Happy Sunday, folks. Happy NFL Conference Championship Sunday. Wanted to hop on before some of these couple games this afternoon because I know I'll be watching. Go Packers in the first one. Go Bills for sure in the second one. Shout out to my Western New York family. But just wanted to jump on here on a Sunday morning and talk streaming, of course, but mainly some of the equipment that I have used over the last year or so, especially since we've been home with the pandemic and whatnot. Share some of the equipment that I use to do remote live productions from home. And I've found that there are a few essential pieces of equipment that have allowed me to have a stable internet connection and allow me to interact with my guests very, very well and very clearly, and also allow me to have more dynamic broadcasts. So I guess first I should say, for my full-time work, I do a ton of remote live productions, mainly for a Department of Defense client. Most of those productions are like between 1 and 4 guests and between 1 and 4 guests having a conversation on a certain topic, or a Q&A style type thing where we're answering questions from the audience. So just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm producing. And so I'm kind of behind the scenes, not really on camera for that. Obviously this is, more of a personal thing and personal project that I actually do the hosting work for. So I do all of the behind the scenes production and once COVID hit, obviously I had to figure out some home solutions on making sure that I could still run broadcast with reliable internet, good upload speeds and all of that to make it a good experience for the audience. So just a couple of things to know first before I jump into the actual equipment. For the software I use to stream is called Switcher Studio. You can check them out at switcherstudio.com. Before the pandemic hit, my company was using Switcher to do a lot of on-site productions. If you're not familiar with Switcher Studio, they do they are a live streaming solution that allows you to use iPhones and iPads to produce a multicam live stream show. So you can, I use my iPad Pro to actually do the switching and producing. And I use, and I was also able to use like some of my old iPhones to, as other camera angles. But, for COVID and the remote environment we're in now, I use Switcher Studio's remote interview feature to bring in guests. So still using my iPad Pro to produce everything. But again, I wanted, there was a couple times over the first few months of being in the pandemic where, my Wi-Fi is good. My Wi-Fi actually at home is great, but I am in the basement and our main router is upstairs. So, naturally there would be times where the signal wasn't so strong and there would be frame drops or even, streams cutting out and you can't have that. Right. So, I wanted to find a way to get Ethernet down into my basement without having to, drill holes in the floor all over the place. I am not handy at all. Don't feel comfortable doing anything like that. So I was about to until I found this first thing I'm going to mention. So again, the things that are key for me, I wanted Ethernet in my basement, and I wanted to be able to sort of communicate effectively and give myself options when it came to communicating effectively with the guests that I have on. So the first thing I want to mention, and I can't actually physically pick it up and show it because I'm using it, it's called the TP-Link AV2000 Powerline adapter. I'll show you a screenshot of it. So what that is, so it is as it says, it's an adapter. So it comes with these 2 adapters. One I have plugged in upstairs, and you'll see on the bottom there's spots for an Ethernet cable. So I have one plugged in upstairs that has an Ethernet cable connected to my main modem and router. And the other one I have plugged in here under my desk in the basement with an Ethernet cable attached to that as well, which I'm then able to plug into my iPad. And I'll show you how I make that connection in a minute. But, so basically how the TP Link equipment works is that, as long as the two outlets that you're using to plug in, as long as they're on the same circuit in your house, it uses your power lines to develop an Ethernet connection. And, I've been using this for quite a few months and have never had anything, have never had a drop connection, knock on wood, since using it. And it has been great. Now, what I use to get the Ethernet cable into the iPad Pro, I use a couple things. The first thing I want to mention is this Apple USB-C digital AV multi-port adapter. So, a lot of you are probably familiar with this, but it has 3 ports there. This end goes into the iPad, and here, you have a USB connection. USB connection, HDMI connection, and then the USB-C where so right here, I can plug the iPad into power. This gives me my power. This, I haven't used the HDMI port much, but I could if I was say at a trade show or something, and I was producing maybe an on-site live stream, but I wanted, the people that are attending the trade show and looking at the rest of the exhibits or something to see what I was broadcasting. And so I could use this HDMI port and plug it into an external monitor so people could see what was going on. And then also the USB connection, which is key. So that is what I use along with this other piece of equipment to get the Ethernet connection. So, and that other piece of equipment is let's see, here is a screenshot. It is called the Anker 3-port USB Hub. It's made by Anker, ANKER, as you see there. So, what's one thing that's great about it is, of course, it gives you 3 additional USB ports. And I'm showing you a screenshot now because I'm actually using that piece of equipment as well for this stream. But so that allows you to, if you wanted to plug in another mic, if you have a USB mic that I'm using right now or something like that, you could plug it in if you didn't have enough ports on the computer you were using. But what's also wonderful about it is that Ethernet port right there. And you can see, so then I'm able to plug the other end of my Ethernet cable that's plugged into the TP Link adapter, plug the other end of that into this Anker port, and using that USB connection, I can plug it into this adapter, which then goes into the iPad. So that is how I'm able to have a reliable internet connection in my basement without drilling holes all over the place and, causing all kinds of chaos in my house, which again, I'm not handy. So that would inevitably happen. So those small pieces of equipment have been absolutely essential in at least, running a reliable live stream, which, when you're working with clients and potentially a lot of eyeballs on your streams, you got to have those things. You got to have power. You got to have Ethernet connection. And so a couple other things I want to mention, they're not necessarily essentials, but they are, they've kind of been great at enhancing my own personal broadcasts, as well as just, adding a little something to my conference calls or anything, anytime I'm communicating with a guest for a remote production. First thing I want to mention is I stumbled upon just last night, the Epocam by Elgato, and that allows me. So let me step back. I use for my personal streams and personal podcast for the K-Stream podcast. I use StreamYard to interview the guests and do any live streaming work, and I use Restream to put that broadcast on multiple channels. And so StreamYard is a cloud-based solution that works on my laptop, and for a while I've been using my built-in webcam, and I have an older laptop. I think it's a 2013 model. It's old, and the webcam just isn't the greatest. So I had been looking at webcams and whatnot to potentially add to my toolkit here, but I discovered Epocam last night by Elgato, and oh my gosh, it's so easy. It allows me, if you're not familiar with Epocam, it allows me to take my iPhone, which I'm using now. I have an iPhone 8 Plus, not the latest model, but the camera is better than my webcam. And it allows me to, through either Wi-Fi connection or a USB connection, I can bring in my iPhone as a camera option on my laptop. And so, basically all I had to do was download the Epocam app on my phone, which is $7.99 in the App Store. Not a subscription fee, just a one-time charge. And then you have to download some Epocam software on your MacBook or what have you. And the connection is pretty automatic from there. So this has been great. I plan on using my iPhone now for Zooms, Microsoft Teams meetings, anything like that, as well as, if I'm doing a stream like the one I'm doing right now, absolutely going to turn to my iPhone cam and the Epocam. This thing is awesome. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention. And also just added a mic to the repertoire, if you will. I just purchased myself a Blue Yeti USB mic. And by the way, I will link to on Facebook and YouTube. I'll link to everything I mentioned in the comments, but just pulled the trigger on a USB mic. And here's a screenshot of it here. Again, I'm not gonna pick it up and show you because I'm using it at the moment, but it has been awesome. And I think it was like $120, something like that. But it love the quality, love the ease of getting it hooked up. It plugs directly into my laptop or using the Anker USB hub that I mentioned earlier. Also bought this little pop filter for it. So when I'm doing my podcast work, I'm a little closer. The sound isn't distorted there. What did I want to mention next? Oh, also just the last last couple things here. Let's see. Ring light. I mentioned I am in my basement, and fortunately I do have windows in my basement, but there are certain times of day where the sun is shining on the other side of the house, or it's shining way too much as it comes down in the evening through this window. And so I really kind of needed a ring light to balance that out. And I had been using a small one that you can clip on the top of a computer or something, but needed something a little more powerful. And so I've discovered, again, I'm using it now, so I'm not going to pull it up and show you, but I do have a picture. And so here is the ring light and stand that I bought. It's an LED ring light. You can see it has kind of various, let me see if I can do this, various color temperatures you can choose from cool to warm. And it, you can brighten it. You can raise or lower the brightness. And what I really liked about it, what kind of stood out, is it has two clamps there, two mounts, one for a phone if you want, and one for the iPad Pro. And I'm using it right now. Like I have the iPad Pro up so I can monitor my stream. And if I wanted to add like another camera angle, I could put the iPhone up top, and that kind of brings in another angle if I wanted. Or I think, as you kind of see in the picture, so you could use it as like the iPhone is your camera, and then you can also have your iPad Pro in front of you running the broadcast and kind of managing everything all in one spot, which is really cool. So I love this ring light. And I think, clearly I think the shot I'm using right now looks pretty good. So let me know what you think. And the last thing I wanted to mention is a very small piece of equipment. I think it's like $7. Again, I will put everything, all the links into the comments on Facebook and YouTube here, but this is called a Sabrent USB external stereo sound adapter. And this is great because, again, using the Anker USB hub that I mentioned earlier, this, I could plug this in there. And then using this side, it has an audio jack. So I could plug in, if I was using like an audio mixer, I could plug in that way. Typically I use this if I'm not necessarily working with any live guests on my streams, but we've done like pre-recorded shows that I'm now airing live. So I don't need to talk to anybody, but I do need to monitor the audio. So I'll use this to, plug into the Anker hub, which then plugs into my iPad. So I'll put some headphones in here and be able to monitor the audio that way. So again, I'll link to everything in the comments, but just wanted to jump on here on a Sunday morning keep saying morning, Sunday afternoon here on the East Coast, and share some equipment, like I said, that has just been essential to running remote live productions from home. Nothing incredibly fancy, but very reliable and allows me to have solid internet connection and good quality video and audio while doing these productions. So I hope you enjoyed that. For sure, leave me some feedback in the comments, Facebook, YouTube, and reply to me on Twitter if you're seeing it there, on Periscope. Of course, let me see here. I got some graphics I wanted to throw up here. So, I also do a podcast called K-Stream. Find it on, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor. Anchor's kind of the main channel there, but you can also check out the website, jeffkozlowski.com/podcasts, and you can find previous episodes there. I also post full episodes to my channel on YouTube. If you want to check out my site, jeffkozlowski.com, do a lot of articles on streaming, video production, content marketing, and that kind of thing. So just want to say thank you for tuning in. If you're going to watch the NFL Conference Championship games today, enjoy. If you're a Packers, Bucks, Bills, or Chiefs fan, good for you. I'm a Washington football team fan, and I am hoping we can enjoy this feeling in the near future. But anyways, hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend and a great week coming.